But let me just establish the basic ideological tenets of Satanism, because most people are completely unfamiliar with Satanism as an ideology. The first overall tenet is the self is higher than anything else. There is no force that's higher than the self, and as such, since the self is essentially, or the ego is essentially the god of this quote-unquote religion, self-preservation becomes its highest aspiration, its highest goal, its highest law. The survival of the physical being, the survival of the body, the survival of the ego is put on a pedestal above all else. So it doesn't make a difference what you have to do to ensure that survival. It doesn't make a difference what you have to do to ensure your current level of social status either. You can step on people that are below you. You can be as ruthless as possible. Compassion doesn't really have to enter into the picture in any way whatsoever, and is generally even frowned upon in many cases. It's cold-bloodedness. It's dog-eat-dog worldview, and you have to come out on top regardless of what you have to do that. That's the first tenet. The first tenet is essentially the worship of the self, and self-preservation coming before anything, most of all, morality, okay? Coming before any kind of morality whatsoever. You know, do what you have to do to get ahead, and whoever has to get stepped on in the process, so be it. And if you just take that first overarching tenet and you look at the world around us, it could be a very easy extrapolation to just make the realization that the world is in a satanic mindset from the very, very first tenet. Most people of the world think like this because this is an extension of what you might call social Darwinism, or what you would call social Darwinism. So that's actually one of its later tenets, which I'll get to in a moment. But the second tenet of the satanic ideology is moral relativism. A very, very, very dangerous proposition, a dangerous ideology, a dangerous belief system. What moral relativism postulates is that there is no such thing as objective right and wrong. Right and wrong, as a moral relativist would have people believe, are simply, as a moral relativist would state, constructs of the human mind. They don't exist in any form in nature. They're not objective. They cannot be objectively measured. They're not objective standards in any way. And essentially, man gets to choose and decide what is right for himself and what is wrong for himself. So if something that benefits me greatly harms many, many other people, that's good. That's a good thing, because I can only look at right and wrong as relative. It doesn't make a difference whether somebody else's rights are being trounced. It doesn't make a difference whether somebody else's freedom is being destroyed. If I'm making out like a bandit in a certain situation, then that's fine, and that's good, and that should continue. This is how a moral relativist really sees things. It's no objective standard for ethics whatsoever, and there's no real objective difference between right and wrong to a moral relativist. That's the second basic tenet of Satanism, and you could see how it goes hand in hand with the ideology of self-preservation first and above all else, including ethics. The third major tenet, as I briefly alluded to, is social Darwinism. This is an extension of, the macrobiological Darwinian evolutionary theory put forth by Charles Darwin, and then basically grafted onto by the Daltons and other cultural and social engineers and eugenicists of his day, and brought into the human social realm in the form of social Darwinism, which essentially postulates that people get to the positions of power that they get to because they are our genetic betters, that they're somehow our genetic superiors, and therefore, the most ruthless and the ones who have the genetic makeup that it takes to get to the top strata of society are just better, and nature has somehow socially, chosen them, and it has exercised, adaptation, to basically put them in the positions that they need to be in, and they should basically get to rule the roost. The most vicious, the most ruthless. That's kind of like survival of the fittest in the animal kingdom. Well, we're taking that into the social realm, and we're applying the dictum of survival of the absolute most ruthless, and they come out on top, and that somehow that is fine and it should be that way, and there's no ethical considerations that even need to be looked at or measured when it comes to that belief system. That's social Darwinism, and you could see many people in the corporate world have this kind of an ideology. Many people throughout society believe this, so again, you just look at these tenets, these three basic tenets so far, and you see a vast swath of the population actually is engaged in satanic thinking and doesn't even understand it to be Satanism. They think that they are just normal individuals engaged in just their own belief structure, their own belief system, but really what they actually believe in a very deep way is Satanism without actually applying the word or the term to the belief system. The fourth and final tenet is eugenics. When you take these other three tenets to their final destination, to their full spectrum, if you will, you get eugenics, which is essentially, since, we are the best, we are the highest power, we are the ones who decide right and wrong for ourselves, we are the ones who have risen to the top strata of society, and we're ruling, we've established ourselves as an essential ruling class. Well, we can get to decide who lives and who dies, who passes on their genes and who does not, who gets to breed and who doesn't get to breed. So we'll essentially play God and get to decide who gets to propagate their gene pool in the world. That's what eugenics is all about. And you put these four tenets together and you have a basic ideological framework for what the quote-unquote religion, or ideology as I would simply call it, of Satanism is. I do feel that it is a religion in the classical and traditional sense of the word. If we go down to the etymological root of religion and know that it comes from the Latin relegare, which means to hold back or to thwart from forward progress. A false religion will thwart someone from forward progress in consciousness and true evolution in their being and in their morality and in their moral understanding. So in that sense, I do feel Satanism, modern ideological Satanism, is most certainly a dark and false religion.